are being touched by Austin Angels.
A group of doctors, nurses, and assistants call themselves Austin Smiles because they perform free surgery on children with severe facial deformities. When they are done, their patients for the first time can really smile.
Heather Jans followed the group to El Salvador for this week's KEYE Eyewitness News Extra. Heather, I guess that a little bit of time changed a whole lot of lives here.
Oh, Terry Neal, it sure did. I mean, it's amazing how a few hours in the skilled hand of the surgeon can make a dramatic difference in the life of a child. Now, 1 out of every 300 kids is born with a facial deformity in El Salvador, making their already tough existence even harder. But tonight we show you how lives are touched by Austin Angels. When Guadalupe was born, family and friends told her mother to let the baby die because death as a child would be less cruel than letting Guadalupe grow up with a facial deformity. When Eusebia heard the doctors were coming to El Salvador, she picked up her child and started walking to the city. 2 days later, she arrived, desperate for help. But Guadalupe is not the only child with a deformity. She's one of thousands. It's 4 o'clock in the morning, and already families are on their way to the military hospital for help. The Austin Smiles team of doctors, nurses, and assistants has only 5 days to make lives better.
Can you believe the numbers? I mean, all of those kids were born in the last 2 months.
1 out of every 300 babies born in El Salvador has a cleft palate and cleft lip. Mouth and facial deformities that make it extremely difficult to eat, speak, and breathe. This family drove 2 hours in a borrowed pickup truck to get here. This newborn is 4 days old. He needs surgery to eat and grow.
Because it would just be too dangerous for the baby to do it at this age.
Dr. Parker's team only has time for 80 surgeries.
She should be #1 like tomorrow and get lab work today.
They quickly assign numbers to the lucky ones.
A month, 3 days too young.
And regretfully turn away the rest. Katerina is chosen. She's patient #1. Eusebia's walk was not in vain. Guadalupe will get surgery. The choices are made, the baby's examined and prepped. Now they'll wait in the hall until their number is called. These mothers have never met or seen Austin's medical team before. They don't even speak the same language, but still they trust them enough to hand over their child for help.
And then they cry for joy when they get the baby back because all of a sudden a child that was going to live the life of a recluse or someone who is ostracized by society now has the opportunity to live a fairly normal life.
Okay, we're going down to the count, big girl.
This could be the end of Guadalupe's suffering. In a few hours, all that will be left are a few stitches and painful memories of neighbors that wanted her to die. Now, the children not chosen this time do have another chance in February.
And what will we be seeing tomorrow, Heather?
Well, tomorrow at 10, I'll show you how Austin doctors are transforming Guadalupe's smile. We'll also show you why these doctors do it, because it certainly isn't for money.
Okay. Tonight, we bring you a story that is guaranteed to make you smile.
In our KEYE Eyewitness News Extra, Touched by Austin Angels, Heather Jans shows you Austin doctors in El Salvador making dramatic changes in children's lives.
These doctors could spend their vacation relaxing, but instead they choose this labor of love.
The pace is fast and furious. 4 surgeons, 3 operating rooms, and too many children needing help.
There's probably 1 in every 300 births, 350 births here, where in the States it's 1 in 1,000 births. And it's probably more prevalent here because of the poverty, and it's just very difficult for them to get medical care.
A few hours in the skilled hands of a surgeon will do a lot more than correct a child's smile.
I mean, this is a life-changing event for this child because now she'll be able to eat and function and get along in her society.
Eusebia waits while her baby Guadalupe is in surgery. It will take 2 operations to fix her cleft palate and cleft lip.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Most children with facial deformities in El Salvador are malnourished because they can't eat. But that won't be the case for Guadalupe. This surgery will correct her cleft lip. She'll grow up healthy thanks to Austin Smiles doctors. But there's another benefit to the surgery. Guadalupe's mother says now her baby can hold her head high and not hide in shame like so many others do.
See, his lips are attached because he didn't have any tissue in here.
This little boy is 11 years old. He's lived his whole entire life with a facial deformity. You know, we don't see this kind of stuff in the United States. We've got a cleaner environment, we've got more doctors. But now those doctors are right here, making a difference. And for the first time, these kids can really smile.
Well, you know, it's really kind of like a religious experience that you go down there and have, and I guess we feel that same way, and there's no way to describe the feeling you get when you hand that baby back to that mother.
The first patient is done, and tears of sorrow now turn to tears of joy.
It makes you very thankful for what you have. It does put everything into perspective for you.
Now Eusebia's wait is over, and underneath all those stitches is Guadalupe's brand new smile.
I think we realize the short-term impact. I don't think we realize the long-term impact.
The long-term effects are unbelievable. Tomorrow night we'll take you high into the mountains of El Salvador to a place where TV cameras have never been before. And you can see for yourself how these children grow up and how tough life really is. Because after surgery, you'll see how much easier things will be. Terry and Neil?
You know, Heather, in that story there, you mentioned something like 1 in, what, 350? And here in the U.S., it's 1 in 1,000. Why is that? Why would there be so many cleft palates or cleft lips like that?
Well, doctors say it's contaminated water, no prenatal care, and poor living conditions all contribute. But they certainly can't pinpoint a specific cause for the great numbers.
Okay. And tomorrow night at 10?
Tomorrow night at 10.
We'll wrap it up. Okay. Thank you, Heather.
This week we have shown you lives touched by Austin angels. In 5 fast days, local doctors are helping children that no one else will.
And tonight, Heather Jantz concludes her KEYE Witness News Extra, taking us high in the hills of El Salvador.
You know, Terry and Neil, it's difficult to understand the dramatic impact that surgery has until you see a child at home. Throughout this week, we've shown you this mother and child's struggle, their anxious wait in line, and the necessary surgery. Well, tonight, the operation's over, the stitches are complete, and it's time for Eusebia to make the long journey home. Now, the Martinez family lives south of the capital city of San Salvador on the top of a mountain. We followed them home, but the only way to get there was to walk.
The Martinez family lives at the top of the mountains in El Salvador, in a place called Azacualpa. You can't get there by car because there are no roads, only a small footpath winding off a dirt trail. Many people in El Salvador live in these mountains. We hiked up the hills on foot to Eusebia's house. She and her husband Julio have never lived anywhere else. They grew up on these peaks with their families, a day's walk away from any modern conveniences or medical help.
Bien pegadito con los vecinos. No se vive bien.
Eusebia says living here brings her family closer to God. She takes care for 5 children inside this mud house, but her bottle of zinc and vegetable cures couldn't fix Guadalupe's deformity.
When Guadalupe was born, the neighbor suggested that the family just let her die. A child up here with a deformity could never have a good life. But even though they're on the top of a mountain, no doctors, no electricity, no running water, the family knew they just couldn't let her die.
Sí, en el cantón es primera niña que se ve así.
But it's a different story now that the baby's had surgery. The neighbors who wanted to let Guadalupe die now accept her. She's one of 1,000 kids in El Salvador Austin Smiles doctors have helped in the last 10 years.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
It's time to take her to her mama. I think her mama deserves a new baby.
When the surgery's over, most moms can't even say thank you. But you don't always need words.
And fills your heart in a way that's very hard to match in any other situation I've ever been in.
Eusebia's thanks is a simple nod. Chances are Guadalupe and her mother will never see the Austin Smiles doctors again. But every time she looks in the mirror, she'll be reminded that they were here.
Now, in 1 year, Austin Smiles doctors want Eusebia to bring her baby back to the hospital. By then, Guadalupe will be old enough for the last operation to fix her cleft palate. Terry and Neil.
Now, Heather, does Austin Smiles also help Austin children?
You know, they sure do. Just like the kids that they helped in El Salvador, they will certainly take care of your child if you need it as well.